Hi everybody! Welcome to this complete tutorial in Autocad where I'm going to teach you to draw in 3D. This is a compilation of several lessons and exercises available here in this channel. And the objective of making this video is to encourage you to solve them. In the description you can find the links if you prefer to watch the lessons separately and the PDF files. So I think it's time to start. Exercise 1. This is a simple exercise, as I'm only using solid primitives in order to complete it. Before starting, make sure you have the UCS, the coordinates, set to world. This means they are in the original position. Now, if you are completely new to draw in 3D in Autocad, I want to give you the following tips. First, go to the workspace switching, this button on the status bar, and select 3D modeling. Now, as you can see, the ribbon is customized to display 3D commands. Next, our current view, the workspace, is top, which is a 2D perspective. To change it to a 3D view, we can use the Orbit tool, and the simple trick to do this is pressing and hold Shift and the mouse wheel, and we can move slowly the workspace. Another way is clicking on the navigation wheel on the full navigation bar, click on Orbit, and now I can rotate the workspace as well. Now let's go back to the top view, there on this control, and in the same place we can switch to an isometric projection, for example the southwest. So, another option you can use to display in 3D. Then, I also prefer to switch on the grid mode, as for me it's easier to perceive the 3D perspective. Let's go back to exercise 1. And the first thing we are going to do is using the solid primitive box. Click on the icon. Then, click anywhere in the workspace to place the first point. Then insert the dimensions of this face. The edge for the x-axis measures 300. Then I press Tab and I insert 200. After that, we will need the height. Let's move up with the pointer and type 20. So the box is done. Next, to create this triangular shaped solid, we are going to use two wedges. To insert a wedge, I'm going to click on the arrow under the icon box and find it in this list. I'm going to draw the first wedge. Click anywhere to start a base rectangle. Then I insert the length, 20, press Tab and then 100. It's not correct. It looks like that the triangular face is not on the right place, as AutoCAD is drawing it on the XZ plane. But this is easy to solve. I will rotate the UCS coordinates 90 degrees to this side. Now I repeat the process again. Activate wedge. Draw again the base first. Aha! Now it's exactly as I wanted. Type the height of the wedge, 80. And then the next step is to use the command mirror. In this case, I don't need the 3D mirror because I want a mirror line on the XY plane. To activate it, type MI and press Enter. Select the wedge, press Enter again, and for the mirror line, I click on this endpoint. Then the second point has to be along the y-axis. Now, as I'm drawing in ortho mode, I don't need to worry with the track lines. Finally, click and press Enter, as I don't want to erase the source objects. Finally, I have to place these solids on the box that I drew before. Activate Move, select the objects, and now this is important. Click on the midpoint of this edge. Then, I cannot move. because I am in the ortho mode. So switch to polar tracking, then move the objects to this midpoint. Now, to convert this to a unique solid, let's use the command union, select all the solids and press enter. So the exercise is completed.
Exercise 2. In this exercise, we are going to use the tool press pull and then fill it in a solid. Let's start. First, we are going to draw the base plane. It's a 2D drawing. As this is a symmetric figure, we don't have to draw all the objects. Using the command mirror makes it quicker. I'm going to draw a polyline. First, I draw a line with 100 of length. Just next, I type A and press enter to draw an arc segment. Now I click to insert the endpoint of the arc. Look at the prompt sentence. It's here. The arc diameter measures 50. The next segment, I type L because I want a line again. Enter 50. Finally, I need another line with length 10. I can press escape to exit the command. After, with the command circle, I draw a concentric circle of the arc. It has a radius of 10. On the next step, I'm going to use the command mirror. I select all the objects, press enter, and the mirror line starts from this point, along the y-axis. For the remaining part, I repeat the command again. Select everything. And this time, the mirror line is from this point, along the x-axis. Now I want to add a third dimension here. I can use the command press pull. Place the pointer over the area until it's highlighted. Click, move the pointer up and insert 40. Press enter. The last step on this exercise is to use the command fillet to round the edges of the top plane. I activate the command fillet. Select the solid. Sometimes if it doesn't work the first time, try again. For my case, I think it works better on an edge. The fillet radius I want 5. Finally, I need to select all the edges. And at the end, press enter to finish the solid. Going back, instead of starting clicking on the edges, I can use the option chain. Type C and press enter. This allows me to select a tangent edge chain. For example, these objects are tangent between them. And as you see, this way is a bit faster. Exercise 3. Let's play a bit with circles. I don't know what is this kind of structure, but it looks like from a different planet. After all, the important thing here is that you learn a few tips with these exercises. We are going to draw two concentric circles. The first one has a radius of 100. Then move the object and the icon showing the center appears. If you cannot see it, you should turn it on at the Object Snap Modes list. The second circle has 50 of radius. Then, both towers are separated by a distance of 300. I draw a line from this quadrant. That's another Object Snap mode. Here you can find it. If you don't know, the option quadrant snaps to the points where the Cartesian axes intersect. Type 300 and press enter. Next, I copy both circles. I choose the quadrant as my base point Then I can place them easily on the other side. On the next step, I extend the line to be from the center of the circles. Then I'm going to draw a rectangle for the slab. I hold this endpoint, move along this axis and type 20. Then the opposite corner has to be on this side, again at a distance of 20 from this point. Actually, the important thing is that the segments surpass the inner circle's border. Now I am going to extrude the circles. First, I start with the small ones. I click on both, press Enter, then type 400. I repeat the process for the larger ones. In this case, their height is 200. Let's create the slab. Again, with the command Extrude selected, and add 40 for the third dimension. Very good. But of course, the slab doesn't stay on the ground. I have to move it up. Command Move. Click on any point of the solid, move up along the Z-axis and type 300. On the top of the structure, we need half spheres. It's easy. I'm going to use the solid primitive sphere, hoof the border of the circle, then find the center. Draw the sphere until the quadrant. I can click now. Then I repeat the step to the second tower. So, I have finished, but let's convert this again to a single solid with the command Union. Select everything and press Enter. Exercise 4. This structure, such as what we did for the exercise 2, we draw first the base objects. I turn on Polyline. Then I draw the segments using the ortho mode, as it's faster to draw only orthogonal lines. Just follow the dimensions on the PDF file. As soon as I reach the half, I press Escape, then with the command Mirror, I copy the polyline symmetrically to the other side. Now I use the command Join to merge both polylines in only one. Nice! On the next step, we will draw all those polylines that look like a kind of labyrinth. A quick way tool here is Offset. I type O and press Enter to activate the command. I specify 10 for the offset distance. Select the polyline. Then, before proceeding, look at the prompt sentence. It says, specify point or side to offset, or these options. I type M to choose multiple. Finally, I move with the pointer inside and click with the mouse 3 times. As you see, I have set 3 polylines with a distance of 10 between them. However, the last one was divided into several objects because of the lack of space. To create the solid structures, I'm going to use both press pull and extrude. I start from inside to outside because it's going to be easier to select the objects. I turn on extrude. Select the 4 squares and the rectangle. Press Enter. Then, specify the height of extrusion, which is 120. For the next sections, I could use extrude again or press pull. I click on the area I want to extrude. Move up the pointer and type the height of the solid, 60. Then do the same for the remaining areas. And it's hard for me to select the area with the snap mode on. I click on its icon to turn it off. This one is 40. And the last 20. Finally, for this solid, we need to use fillet. But this time, I will introduce to you a new ability. We turn on the command. Select the solid. If I have the selection cycling turned on, this window appears because I have overlapped objects. The solid that I want is the first one. Press enter. Then type the radius of 5. This time, instead of selecting an edge, I use the option loop. With this, I can fillet an entire face of a solid. I select an edge of a loop. Now the system basically asks me if I want this face. If yes, I choose accept, otherwise I click on next, and it switches to the other face. As this is the one that I want, I press enter to accept. Then I can keep selecting more faces on the same solid. But as I don't want any more, I press enter again to apply the action. Now, all this face has a fillet with radius 5.
On the next part, we will solve this exercise about a mechanical piece, and we will set up the workspace with several viewports. So, on the main window we have a southwest isometric view, and this is where we will draw most of the drawing. At the right, I have the top, left, and front perspectives. Let's learn how to do this. Now, if you are not sure how to set this up, I will show you. First, change the workspace to 3D modeling. Then go to the tab Visualize, and on Viewport Configuration, choose 4 right. Finally, change the view to the one I need. Here is Southwest Isometric. Then this viewport has the view set to top, so it's correct. Click on the one below, change it to left, and finally this last one to front. Now let's start the exercise.
I'm going to draw the border of the base with the command rectangle. I type ERC and press enter. Then I'm going to type the coordinates 120 on the x-axis. Then I press tab and type 125 for the y-axis. OK, the next will be the circles here. To draw the two circles, it's important that you have in mind that they are concentric, and those are the vertical and horizontal distances from the corner. I'm going to draw a line. I type L and press enter. Move this endpoint, drag the pointer in this way, type the distance of 12.5 and press enter. Then I draw a line horizontally with the length 15. Next, I draw a circle from the second point of the line that I just drew. This endpoint. For it, I have to type the radius, which is 4.5. Half of the diameter, that's what is shown on the paper. For the second circle, I type 7.5 for the radius. Then I'm going to draw this one at a distance of 35 from the border. The circle itself will be with the radius of 4. Next, I'm going to use the command mirror for the objects I have made, the 3 circles. Press enter. select these two circles and the other here. I find this midpoint and draw here the mirror line. Then I choose No, because I don't want to erase the original objects. After I use mirror again, remember that if I press Enter I activate the previous command used, but this time I select all the circles and find this time the mirror line at this edge. Then I just need to do exactly as before. Okay, now that the top view of the first part is done, I want to start modeling it. And for that purpose, I'm going to switch the workspace to 3D modeling. Here is much better because I will have the 3D tools at the ribbon. I'm going to activate the command press pull. Click in the icon located here. Then I select the area and wait until everything is highlighted. Then I move up and press Tem for the width of the base. Next, I need to press pull the area between these two circles. I move up, but this time, instead of specifying the distance, remember that there are 4 figures like this. So, I switch to the option Multiple by typing M and select all the 4 areas. Finally, I need to extrude this with 4 cm of height. And this is how the result looks like. On the next section, we will draw the front and back elevations. First, move the UCS to this corner. Click here, and then I have to rotate it. First, I click on the Y-axis and rotate it 90 degrees in this direction. After, I click on the X-axis and put it in the direction of this edge. Now I can draw the first elevation in this plane. Next step, hide all the existing drawing. I'm going to select all the objects, click with the right button, and I go to Isolate and click on Hide Objects. With this, I will draw the next objects and they will not interfere with what I have made before, so it's going to be easier. To start drawing the first line, I type L, press Enter, I type the coordinate 0 for the X-axis, press Tab and type 0 again for the Y-axis. Then I draw the lines 65 centimeters, then another 37.5, then 50, and I just follow the dimensions which are in the PDF file until I connect to the origin. So it's done. Now I need to draw the big circles. The center is located at the distance of 19.5 from the first vertical line. And be careful because it's not located exactly in the middle, even if it seems to be. So first I draw a support line, go to this endpoint, move right, type 19.5, and then I draw a vertical line with 25 centimeters of length in this direction. Okay, now I can draw the circle, which has a diameter of 28 centimeters. And I switch to Insert the diameter, and then I just insert a value of 28. For drawing the circle on the other side, I can use the command Mirror, as this is a symmetric figure. I select the circle, press Enter, and draw a mirror line from this midpoint. Oh, and the auxiliary line I can delete it. Next, I will make the elevation on the other side of this machinery. As it's quite similar, I'm going to use these objects and I copy them to a place at the right of them, for example. Now I draw a line here. After, with the command extend, I'm going to select this object, press enter, then extend these vertical lines to the bottom. Then I delete this line as it's not in this elevation. Now, in the middle section, I draw a circle. I hover this midpoint, drag the pointer down, type the distance of 25 to place the center there. Then, this time, the diameter measures 30 centimeters. So we can finally add a third dimension to these figures. I'm going to use the press pull command for that. Select this area and extrude those objects with 25 centimeters. Then do the same for the next figure. The sections on the sides will have an extrusion of 25 centimeters and the one in the middle just 15. Press enter at the end. Next, as you may remember, I isolated the base plate. Click with the right button anywhere on the workspace, go to Isolate and click on End Object Isolation. Now I have to rotate this solid 180 degrees. I'm going to use a 3D rotation. You will see how this command works. I click on it, select the objects and press enter. Select the plane of rotation, it's going to be this one, and then rotate it 180 degrees. Finally, I'm going to move these objects. Select the base points at the back, because I want to relocate them here. Okay, we have finished modeling this exercise, but if we want to have this as a single object, we can use the command union to merge all the solids. However, have in mind that the polylines and lines don't merge with the solid objects. So I can use the command move, I select the solid and place it, for example, to the right side. Then I can just delete these objects.
On the next part, we will be solving easy exercises so you can learn 3 useful commands. They are Revolve, Loft and Slice. Let's start. Command Revolve. With this tool, we can create a 3D model by extruding 2D objects around an axis, like what we do with the command extrude. If we select open objects like a line or a closed polyline, we obtain a surface. On the other hand, if we revolve closed objects, the result is a solid. Okay, I'm going to show you how this command works. It seems a bit tricky in the beginning, but it's not hard. First, we have to find it. As you can see, it's on the same group of icons as Extrude and Loft. Select the object to revolve. Press Enter. Then, we have to define an axis where the polyline can rotate. It's going to be this line. I click on both endpoints, and now I can rotate around the line. Also, notice that the UCS adjusts its position at the rotation point here. Finally, to create a solid, I can set up the angle or click on the place that I want. Okay, now we can check out a few examples. If I type the angle 0 degrees or 360 degrees, it creates a wheel or a gear shape. So the command revolve can be useful to create this kind of models, especially those ones used on mechanical drawing. It's also possible to change the direction of the rotation. We can click on reverse on the command bar or type R. However, when I have to select the rotation axis, if I click on the points in an inverse order, the rotation angle is automatically on the other side. Now be careful. The rotation axis that we need to select has the point to allow the object to rotate. For example, if we select this line as our axis, the object cannot rotate around it. Specify the start angle. Let's suppose for the same object we don't want to start extruding here, but on that line. I click on Start Angle, then on the point of this line, and finally revolve the object towards the second line. You can try to do these examples by yourself, and after continue to the next command. On the next examples, we will learn to use the command Loft to model objects.
With Loft, we can create a solid from cross sections. The simplest way to use Loft is having two surfaces. Let's look at this example. I'm going to draw a circle here. Then, from the center, I draw a line on the direction of the Z-axis. Then, from the top endpoint, I draw a circle on the XY plane. Now, I am going to activate the command Loft. If you don't find there, click in this arrow and should be one of this list. I select both surfaces. Press Enter. Then choose Select Cross Sections. And this is the result. For the second example, I'm going to draw another circle from the line midpoint. I activate Loft again, select the three surfaces and press Enter. The order of selection also determines how the solid is drawn. For the third example, let's do it differently. I select the circle at the bottom, then the top and finally the middle one. Of course, you have to imagine what you want to draw. If you try to draw a solid that is not physically possible, the program will adjust it for you, and the result may not be as you expected. Select a point. Apart from selecting surfaces, we can still select points. For example, here we choose the circles. Then, we want to loft to this point. If we look to the command bar, the prompt says, select cross sections in lofting order or these options. I click on point or type PO. Finally, I can click on the point and select cross sections. Another way to use Loft is through a path. This time, I draw a rectangle on the XY axis. Next, I want to snap to the geometric center. I click on the arrow next to the object snap and check if that mode is on. Now I'm going to click on the UCS and change it to the center of the rectangle. By hovering the polyline, I can see it appearing. I place the UCS there. Then I rotate the UCS axis in order to have the plane XY perpendicular with the rectangle. In this way, for example. My next step is drawing a spline from the center of the rectangle. When I finish, I press Enter to place the object. Now I return the UCS to the word position. Then I draw a circle on the endpoint of the spline. So, I'm going to use Loft again, select the rectangle and the circle, press Enter. Now, in this list I click on Path, and finally select the spline. Issues using the command Loft. I am going to focus on a problem that also happened to me. It's about using the polyline as a path. Look at this example. Here I'm going to draw a polyline from the center of this rectangle. I draw it with several segments until I reach the center of the circle. I turn on Loft, select both surfaces, and when I click to use the polyline as a path, I realize it doesn't work. At this moment, on the command bar, we can read: select entities are not valid. Paths should be smooth curves, and splines or arcs are good to use here. However, it's possible to transform this polyline in a spline. I'm going to select it. Click with the right button. Here go to Polyline, and then click on Spline Fit. As you see, the polyline was converted to a spline, and now it's possible to use it as a path. A similar way to use path is with guidelines. I draw a spline from this midpoint and I connect it to this side of the circle. Then I make a second spline here. Using Loft again, I select the surfaces and I choose the option Guides. I select both splines and a solid is created based on their way.
The next command we will learn is the command Slice, and it's used to divide objects in two parts.
The command Slice allows us to cut objects in two parts. It's like a knife. However, if you try to use the command for the first time, it's possible that you don't get the point immediately. But I'm going to explain the things clearly. The way Slice works is: we draw a line on the XY plane and it generates the cutting plane along the Z axis. I click on the icon, select the object to slice, this one. Press Enter. Now I draw the line between these intersections. Then I have to select the side of the solid that I want to keep. If I click here, the part to the right of the cutting line disappears. So if instead I would click on the other side, that is what happens. Let's draw a line in a different direction, but this time I select both solids. I draw the line and click on this side. Keep both sides. Sometimes we just want to divide the object in two, without erasing any side. That's simple. Do the whole process identically. But this time, I don't click on the side. I select this option, keep both sides. The two solids were divided into two others. Using Slice in a standard orthographic view, I mean a 2D perspective, is way easier. I move to this viewport, which is on the top view. I activate Slice, select both objects. Then, when I draw a line, I realize it's easier to understand the cutting plane. I'm going to make it diagonal. To use a cutting plane that is not on the direction of the Z-axis, on the word UCS, I need to rotate the UCS icon. Here, I just go to this viewport where I am at the right view. Turn on Slice. Select the objects and draw the cutting line here. I select this side, and here it is. Oh, the solid above remained untouched. That was because I didn't cross it with the cutting line. One last thing. Just say that for the cutting line, doesn't matter its length. Even if I draw it until here, it applies to all the objects.
On the last part of this video, we will convert this top projection of a gear in a 3D model. This time I will use a different workspace, the 3D Basics. As you can see, there are less icons on the ribbon, but the most used ones to model objects are there. Also, the buttons are larger, which can be an advantage for beginners. Now I am going to rotate the workspace in a 3D perspective. Just press and hold Shift and the mouse wheel at the same time, and then drag slowly down. Next, I'm going to use the command Press Pull to extrude closed boundaries. It's simple. Click on the button, and then I'm going to the teeth side and push all this area 50 mm up, for example. Oh, but first I'm going to change the view here to an X-ray, for example, because it's better to see the difference between the solids. Then the next one, let's put it a bit smaller, 40 mm. Then the ring, also the same height as the first area, 50 mm, and the last part, 40. Okay, the first half side is done. Now, as most of the gears are symmetric in terms of width, I'm going to change the current view in these controls here to front. Now, it's going to be easy to mirror all these objects along the x-axis. I'm going to select everything. Activate the command Mirror. And now I can make the mirror line exactly along the bottom edge of the gear. So this endpoint is good. I click, move to the right, and click again in another point in the same horizontal direction. That's important. Great. Finally, if I want to merge all the solids in one, I can go to Union, select everything and press Enter. Now the full gear is a single solid. Okay, the former 2D objects are still there. It's not a problem, but if you want, it's possible to move the solids to the side with the command Move, and in this way we can remove the 2D objects from the model. Okay, it looks like we reached the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to CAD in Black. There you can find all the content of tutorials for beginners. See you in the next